What is going on, good people? Today, I don't really have a particular topic in mind or anything. I just have been at Goodwill this week, the bins, and yesterday I pulled this vintage microphone that I'm going to clean up using 91% isopropyl alcohol, as I do with all electronics that I'm cleaning. And it's this really old joker, a Motorola made in Chicago model TMN 6016A. I don't know exactly how old it is, but I know it's old, and it says KUU 558. I don't know, this may have been a radio station. Near as I can tell, it's a two-way FM microphone or transmitter. Looks like something you would have seen in one of the old police movies. But of course, you know, coming from the bins, I got this for like dirt, probably underneath $1, but I don't know what it is. I just have this strong affinity for old electronics, old tech, well, old anything really. I think it was partially just because it was made better. You know, everything wasn't made with planned obsolescence in mind back then. Yeah, we're really getting some schmutz out of that. It's been a heck of a week. Been an ill-rested week. I did, however, I say ill-rested, I got a new sleep number bed. And it's not ill-rested anything to do with that, it's just because it's been storming here a lot, and my kiddos tend to get really worked up when it's storm and they get scared, and of course they want to sleep with me. And I don't know if you have small children or have had small children at any point, but trust me, it's not easy sleeping in the bed with them. Be surprised how much space one small human can take up, let alone two. So, been working pretty much non-stop, whether on my actual job or my secondary gig that I'm not even getting paid for, but I'm not complaining because it's something I love doing and something I believe in. And, oops, putting the microphone right into my chest. Yeah, I'm just making all kind of noise here, aren't I? And got the cord, the dirty cord of this thing, all tangled up with my microphone cord. That's cleaning up all right so far. I love this little metal Motorola emblem that's in there. It's not a sticker, that's like a actual metal emblem that's just set down in there. That's not good. And that's what I'm talking about. Things just used to be made so much better. Companies, you know, they used to build their client bases based on reliability and service. Now it's all planned obsolescence. Anymore you buy an electronic device, if you can get more than 5 years out of it, you can pretty much call it a win. That's why with a lot of your modern appliances like refrigerators and dishwashers and everything, you know, it's like you have them top in like 10 years and they just go right down the crapper. Whereas you can buy one of those older 1960s, 1970s refrigerators, dishwashers, you get them running. I mean, probably your grandkids would still be able to use it. Like, those things were they were eternal. And I'm a big fan of capitalism, free market, but unfortunately that's not what we have. And unfortunately also with free market capitalism, at some point it becomes all about shareholder value and less about real value for the end customer. And they've got us programmed now to just, you know, accept that everything we buy is going to be useless crap in just a few years, and we'll just go buy a new one. We'll just go get a new one. Just keep that revolving door of purchasing going, instead of just selling us an investment once. Wow, I really cannot get that schmutz out of. You don't know that schmutz. I think that Motorola that's etched in there used to probably have like black paint in it, and there's just like a little bit of it left now. But anyway, yeah, you know, sooner or later in a free market capitalist economy, when everything becomes about shareholder supremacy, then it's all about getting as much money as you can, as many times you can, as quickly as you can, regardless of how it affects the end consumer. And I know from somebody that sits kind of politically to the right like me, that's a little bit of a surprising thing to hear me say, but again, I'm a fan of free market capitalism, but the version that ends up with the best product being made for the lowest price, like it used to be. That's why you had a lot of old cars and appliances. They were rugged and reliable, easy to work on. Like you try getting a car now that's made, everything is so heavily computerized that it's just so difficult and expensive to work on. You can't just take most of your modern cars to a shade tree mechanic and expect them to be able to fix a problem. I have a buddy who has a newer car that has a really funky transmission, and it was having an issue. And it turns out that you could replace the part, but that's not enough anymore. You can't just replace the part. You have to be able, even if you can do it yourself, you would have to take it down to a dealership to have it programmed. That's why I said they make it really, in the way our economy works now, they just make things so hard to work on. It's just so incredibly frustrating. It adds unnecessary steps. And I know the argument is like, well, these chips, they help make the cars and the products more economical. And I'm like, well, if you have to keep replacing it or having to keep having expensive computerized resets and reprogrammings done, is it really all that cost efficient? I don't think you can make that argument. I think it's certainly cost efficient from the point of the dealerships and the manufacturers, because again, they're building everything with that planned obsolescence model in mind. And that's why I said eventually I want to buy myself a truck, not one of these 4-door trucks with a short bed that are just basically a car that kind of looks like a truck. I want a truck. I want a standard cab, long bed, a truck that I can use for what a truck needs to be used for. And that's why I plan, when I do finally go ahead and make a move on that, I'm going to get like the newest, maybe like a 2000 to 2005 model vehicle, especially trucks, Fords and Chevys, because prior to that, they were more reliable and they were a heck of a lot easier to work on. I don't proclaim to be like any sort of mechanic. I'm not. My father-in-law is, but I can get around underneath a hood if I need to for some basic things. But unfortunately, the basic things just aren't so basic anymore, Anyway, yeah, it's been a heck of a week. I was coming home yesterday and got pulled over within a mile of my house. I'm like, man, it clocked me doing 46 in a 35, so it got me 11 miles over. Last time I got pulled over, I didn't get a ticket, but this time, yeah, they didn't spare me. I got a ticket, so I have to pay. That's the first speeding ticket I've had in years and years. But I just know State Farm is probably not going to show any leniency on that, and I expect my insurance premiums are going to go up, and that's... Hold on just a second. You wouldn't notice it, but I just had to stop the video because my little boy walked in, and he's like, Daddy, you cleaning that old microphone? Are you testing it out? I said, well, I can't test it. I can't even hook it up. If you look at the bottom here, I think there was probably a cover there at some point, but I'm sure this thing could be returned to some sort of functionality, but I don't have the equipment necessary to actually make it do its job. Not that I would want to. Again, like I said, I just like the design aesthetic of it. Like I said, it 100% looks like something you would have seen like on the desk in some cop show back in the 70s or 80s, you'd see, or like a dispatcher like hammering on that, oh, car 120, we got happening over here and there. Yeah. Anyway, I know, I'm weird like that. I just have an appreciation for history of all sorts. Speaking of that, while I was there yesterday, it always amazes me what people overlook in the Goodwill bins. They wheeled out a new set of bins, and I saw this little toy mailman, and there was like 20 people walk past it, And like I didn't 100% know what it was, but I was fairly certain it had something to do with the old Ghostbusters toy line. And yeah, he's called Mail Fraud. What is it? He opens up. I got him to open up yesterday, and now all of a sudden he doesn't want to play. But he's got like teeth and stuff in his guts, and like these two areas of his pockets here turn into eyeballs. Doggone it, man! I'm just determined here. I'm gonna get this to work. Man, I'll tell you what. I think I need like a. There we go. But yeah, he's called Mail Fraud, so that's going to be a good addition to my little 80s shelf. But anyway, like I said, I didn't really have anything in particular in terms of a topic for this video. I just kind of wanted to come on here and just clean something and just ramble on, a little bit of stream of consciousness sort of thing. Oh, I did also pick up yesterday a movie on VHS. Now, I remember my mom was, I guess she wanted me, this is way back in the 80s, she wanted me to have something to do one afternoon. She's like, well, you want to go see a movie? They didn't really have anything that was like super kid oriented at the time, but she saw this advertisement for a movie called The Boy Who Could Fly. And of course, I've always like been into Superman, so I guess my mom saw that. Oh, a flying boy, yeah, he'll probably like it. And you know, weirdly, I did like the movie. And I don't know that I believe in the whole manifesting thing or not, but I do know that it seems to happen more often than not. Like when I think about something I haven't thought about in years, something having to do with that, like, comes along my path within days. And this is just how this movie was. I was thinking about it the other day, and I was like, I wonder if I can get that like on DVD or Blu-ray or something somewhere. And probably within 3-4 days, I found this on VHS, and honestly, that's the format that I'd really rather have it in. It's going to give you more of that like actual 80s experience. You know, there's just something you can't really truly replicate. Not with all the filters in the world. It can't replicate the feeling of an old school TV and an old school VR. I've been playing a lot of VR this week, and VCR, and putting the tape in and just kicking back and enjoy. Anyway, I don't really have anything else to go on, so I guess I'm just going to end this pointless little stream. I hope that y'all have a great week ahead, and I will catch you on the next one.